Okay, so the thing about insecure people, toxic people, is that more often than not, these people are lacking in brain cells. You know what I mean? Like, they often think that they are smarter than they actually are, and it shows very, very, very clearly if you actually pay attention. And the thing about it, you really have to be careful about these sorts of people because they often do a really good job of pretending that they are not who they are. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times it'll be too late by the time you actually realize what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? And like I've said before, we can point the finger at other people all day, all night. But at some point you just have to point the finger back at yourself and like say, what do I need to do to protect myself? What do I need to do to make sure that this doesn't get through to me? You know what I mean? It sounds a tiny bit victim blamey, but that's just the world we live in. You know, it's a harsh truth. Oh, hi. You know, it's a very harsh truth, but some people are just not right in the head. And you could say anything, or you could say just about anything, you could do just about anything, and they will continue to just like think that way and then like and act that way. You know what I mean? And I don't know, sometimes it's not necessarily that they're like bad people, it's just that they're fucking like misguided. You know what I mean? And once again, the craziest part is that they think that they're a lot smarter than they actually are, and they think that they, you know what I mean, have more authority than they do a lot of the time, because they feel so small, they feel so insecure, and they have to overcompensate, you know? They gotta act all macho, act all strong and tough, but meanwhile they're like a little fucking baby inside, you know? And I don't know, I think there's always an exception to the rule. I think there's always an outlier. So I don't like to speak in absolutes and say like, oh, well, you can never get through to them, you can never reason with them. I'm sure that there's a way to like placate, to like stroke their ego, to like make them understand sometimes. But even then, it's just like they don't understand because they just, you know, a lot of the time these people are run by their egos. All they really care about is feeling good, feeling validated, feeling accepted. They don't care about whether or not they're doing the right thing a lot of the time, which is very unfortunate. But, you know, that's what it is, man. And my personal issue is when this stuff, this facade, bleeds over into like the spiritual community. Like when people put on this mask of like, I'm spiritual, I'm enlightened, I'm super wise. Once again, thinking that they're smarter than they are, or pretending to be smarter than they are. Because it's not even just about like being inauthentic or being false. It's also about the fact that like these people often will misguide other people, mislead other people into destruction. You know what I mean? And there's a selfishness that comes with being insecure, that comes with being this sort of person. You know what I mean? You don't think about other people as much as you think about yourself. Even a lot of the times the people who are more generous, there's still a little bit of selfishness, because it's like you're only giving so that you can protect your ego, so that nobody can say that you're not generous. You know what I mean? And I don't know, I think it sucks because people like me do the inner work and like ask themselves the real questions of like, am I selfish? Am I a narcissist? Am I being a bad person here? But these people don't ask themselves that question. And if they do, they bury the answer down deep down. You know what I mean? Like, and once again, I don't like speaking in absolute, so the idea of saying good person or bad person is kind of outdated. But like, a good person takes the time to ask themselves how they're impacting others, how they're influencing others. And somebody who doesn't care as much is not going to ask themselves that question. They're going to ask themselves, maybe secretly, probably not out loud ever, but they're going to ask themselves like, you know, does this make me look good? Is this, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times these people are focused on appearance and like the surface level, you know? And I made a jokey joke on TikTok about it. It was just like, it's funny to me because a lot of the times these people will do everything in their power to like keep up the facade, keep up the mask, instead of, I thought there was somebody behind me. I'm in the cemetery, by the way. But yeah, a lot of times these people will do everything in their power to like keep up the facade, keep up the mask, instead of just attempting to like become the person that they were pretending to be. And I think that's really ridiculous. It's like, how self-destructive are you that you think that it would be a better idea to just pretend rather than just to embody? You know what I mean? Because one thing about it, I've always kind of been spiritually adjacent. Even when I was an atheist, I always had that mind of a spiritualist. You know what I mean? I've always been the type to question things, to think deeply. You know what I mean? And it's not an aesthetic. It doesn't look a certain way. I don't try to like make it, I don't try to dress it up in a certain way. That just is who I am. You know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe we could blame parents. Maybe we could blame the education system at large. Maybe we could blame society at large. I don't know. But as individuals, it does become our responsibility to like really hone in on our discernment and like be mindful of who we keep around us, who we're supporting, and all this stuff. Because a lot of times these people can also be very charming. You know what I mean? I don't want to throw around the word narcissist, but you know what I mean? Like, they tend to be very, there's a way about them. It's appealing. You know what I mean? It's nice to watch. It's nice to witness. But then again, you can't force everybody to think critically. You can't force everybody to like make wise decisions, you know? I was so close to breaking up with my person yesterday. And I don't know, part of me is just really mentally done with this situation. Like, it's just very clear to me that this person lacks maturity majorly, and they're very insecure. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I was partially using them for their resources. But I mean, I care about them. You know what I mean? I feel like even if I am using someone, I'm still doing it to the best of my ability and being a good friend. That's my perspective, though. Obviously, I don't know what his perspective is, but I know that I do my darndest to be a good friend, to be a good person in general, to the people around me, you know, to the people who help me. But what happens when it's not equally balanced? You know what I mean? When you're constantly being toxic and manipulative and you don't want to take accountability for that, you just want to double down and try to blame me for your behavior, you know what I mean? Or just deflect, you know, because there was a lot of deflecting. We had a really big conversation last night, and I really was done. I felt like I was ready to be over it, but I don't know, I'm a very thorough person. I do put a lot of myself into everything that I do, and that was one of the things that he was trying to like say. He was like, I don't think it's humanly possible for anybody to put 100% into a relationship, or whatever the fuck he said. And I'm like, what? Because I'm damn sure giving you a lot of myself, you know, and if you just don't want to admit that you're not giving the same amount of energy, sure, we can just say that it's not possible. And like, once again, I know better. I feel like I could just leave, but like, I'm also in a very peculiar situation where, to some degree, I don't want to say I need him, but to some degree, he is very resourceful. He's very helpful. But it's just like, the help often turns into harm. You know what I mean? Because there's a negligence. He doesn't think things through all the way, and it's just like, I get it, but like, why is that? How is that fair to me? You know what I mean? That you choose to just not be a mature adult, you know? Because then if I point that out, a lot of the times he'll try to reflect that back to me and be like, well, you did this and you did this. And it's like, girl, really? Like, if you want to bring that up in a valid context, sure. But in this moment, like, that's not relevant. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's ridiculous. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But we keep our head up, we keep our spirits high, and we keep moving, you know? All right, end transmission. Have a nice one. I hope you know God loves you. I hope you know whatever you're going through is very temporary. And miracles happen all the fucking time, man. You just gotta believe in it and align yourself with it, you know? I'll see you later.